You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
The following podcast is scheduled for one fall. Coming in at 195 pounds from Studio A, he is the reigning, defending, undisputed host of the Ring of Thunder, Sexy Thor! Raw started with back-to-back promos of I Want a Championship match. Randy Orton wants to face Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship at SummerSlam, and Nia Jax was about to do the same for Asuka in the Raw Women's Championship when Shayna Baszler interrupted. Shayna told Nia no one gives a damn what she wants, then Nia threw hands. A whole lot of refs broke it up, and then we got the Street Profits. They did the ring announcing for the triple threat between the Viking Raiders, Ricochet and Cedric, the sports entertainer Alexander, and Andrade and Angel Garza to decide who will face the Street Profits at SummerSlam. Andrade and Angel Garza emerged victorious, so they will be the ones to face the Street Profits in what would have been a WrestleMania rematch. Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax were going to get into a match that ended in a double countout, and security and WWE officials had to break it up, and it just kind of ended. But this feud could be fun. Seth Rollins and a Murphy that's kind of perturbed by his boss lately came out to the ring and invited Dominic Mysterio to come out and just talk. Dominic came out and attacked Seth, which got him tossed around. Seth and Murphy were going to pierce his eye on the steel steps, but Aleister Black came to his rescue, but they overpowered him, and Seth had Murphy pierce Aleister's eye on the steps. Once they were done, they turned their attention to Dominic, who beat them with the kendo stick and had them on the retreat. Mustafa Ali, or Mufasa as R-Truth called him earlier, was the guest of the VIP lounge, so MVP could offer him a spot in the Hurt Business, which Ali very much declined. MVP, Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin were about to pounce when R-Truth came out of nowhere to try to get the 24/7 championship from Benjamin, in which he was unsuccessful, so he got out of Dodge. During Mustafa Ali versus Bobby Lashley, Akira Tozawa tried to get the 24/7 title, but Shelton kicked out of the roll-up. Then he and MVP fought off Tozawa and the Ninjas. Sometime later, Lashley got Mustafa in the full Nelson and made him tap. Next we had Sasha Banks versus Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship, and instantly Kairi Sane chased Bayley away from ringside to backstage to ensure no interference, but it didn't work out towards the end, as the Tron showed us Bayley beating the shit out of Kairi and banging her head against the shutter door, which tore at Asuka, who continued the match, but finally she went fuck it and ran backstage to tend to Kairi. The ref counted to 10, and Sasha Banks is officially Raw Women's Champion by countout, and Kairi is officially done with the WWE as she is going back home to Japan, so she got a nice little win over Bayley, and then a heart-wrenching attack the next week to close it out. Hashtag thank you, Kairi, you awesome pirate princess. Murphy defeated Humberto Carrillo in a seemingly impromptu match that was still very good because these two know each other so well, going back to Carrillo's debut on 205 Live. And in the main event, Drew McIntyre accepted Randy Orton's SummerSlam challenge, then revealed his stipulation to Dolph Ziggler. Dolph can have the same Extreme Rules allowances he had 8 days ago, but Drew gets that too. Oh shit. Of course it ended in explosive fashion with Drew hitting Dolph with a Claymore right through a table. As Drew was celebrating, he got a good old RKO out of nowhere, and we are on the road to SummerSlam.
I'm Brittany Vitrino.
And I'm Martha Bartlett. We've been nerds since day one, and we love to talk.
And now we're your hosts of But First, Let's Talk Nerdy.
Come listen if you like anything from comics, anime, video games, sci-fi, and even history.
Just sit back, relax, even join us with a drink in hand, because we'll have one in ours too, and come talk nerdy with us every Tuesday.
We are now a proud member of the ESO Network, and you can download wherever you like to listen.
See you next Tuesday.
On Impact, Eddie Edwards defeated Trey, or I guess he's called Trey Miguel now, to retain the Impact World Championship, then was confronted by Eric Young, who told Eddie he'll go after him when he decides. Though while Eddie was busy with that, He apparently hasn't noticed his wife has been transported to Wrestle House in its series premiere, where Taya Valkyrie tries to get out but finds a portal to purgatory. And apparently the house belongs to the host Tommy Dreamer. It's bizarre. I think I might love it. In a mad scramble to find their sleeping spaces, we found our way to match time, in which AC Romero put Crazy Steve to sleep for the right to sleep in the ring. Kylie Ray was the ref and the only person getting booed. Rohit Raju, being Chris Bay's new errand boy, got TJP and Falaba to challenge them to a tag team match set for next week. Ethan Page of the North is actually speechless for once, while both men were distraught about losing their tag titles last week in a backstage promo, but promises to use that rematch clause. The Impact Plus moment of the week is from TNA Victory Road 2010, when the Motor City Machine Guns defeated Beer Money to win the tag titles after having to restart the match because two refs counted simultaneous pins that canceled each other out. Heath managed to sneak in the building again and provoke Moose in giving him a TNA title shot, which caught Scott D'Amore's attention. Scott told Heath if he beats Moose next week, they can free up a roster spot for him. Deonna Purrazzo defeated Kimberly in a non-title match, then Jordynne Grace came out and took off her arm sling and beat Deonna out of the ring as a message that she wants the Knockouts title back. Another Wrestle House has Crazy Steve bunking with Johnny Swinger, and Match Time with Cousin Jake defeating Cody Deaner over a dispute of who's Nord. Katie Forbes had a run-in with Sami Callihan and thought he, a former world champion, was an ogling fan. Later, when Callihan was trying to regroup with Ken Shamrock, Forbes pointed out Callihan to her man Rob Van Dam, who told Sami to back off. Katie and RVD went to the ring so Katie could debut the photos from her new website, and the reveal was ruined with her photos hacked by Sami, who photoshopped his head on her body. Naturally, Katie had a big meltdown. Dez and Wentz got high with Suicide in the treehouse because Dez thinks Suicide is a Power Ranger. Everyone's having a good time. Rich Swann will be in the Impact Zone next week to offer an update on his medical status after Eric Young's brutal attack at Slammiversary. And finally, the Good Brothers defeated Reno Scum, then got into it with Ace Austin and Madman Fulton. They brawled all the way from the ring to the backstage to the parking lot till Fulton got knocked into the camera to end the show.
You have 30 seconds to describe Thunder Talk.
It's pop culture.
With a twist.
It's music.
LGBTQ+.
And comedy.
Well, dark comedy.
It's nerd junk.
It's comic books.
Video games.
Conventions.
Yeah, nerd junk.
And social commentary.
It's woke, yo.
Yeah, and nerd junk.
Woke nerd junk.
Thunder Talk is all over the place.
Every place you want to be.
Thunder Talk is a proud member of the ESO Network. Find us at thundertalk.org and download us on all podcast platforms.
NXT started with Io Shirai and Tegan Nox defeating Candice LeRae and Dakota Kai, and it looks like Io and Tegan are cool now. Io seemed like she had a face turn with the whole Sasha Bailey thing, then went back to bad guy leading up to the championship match with Tegan, and now they're cool. Or maybe it's just shades of gray with her. I'm good with that too. Or maybe she's just Big Show. Okay, let's just not go down that train of thought. Candice's husband had much better luck next as Johnny Gargano defeated Roderick Strong a week after they both lost to Bronson Reed in the Triple Threat qualifier, and Roderick Strong's actually playing the face here. Mercedes Martinez defeated Shotzi Blackheart in her first match as Robert Stone's client and needed almost no distraction from him. Ridge Holland from NXT UK makes his debut next week on NXT. About time. I've seen him in the little PC crowd for a good while. Been interested to see how they work him in since NXT UK is on hiatus. Then Keith Lee came to the ring very intense and upset because of what he witnessed with Dijakovic in the Cross Jacket last week, and he called out Karrion Kross. Cameron Grimes came out instead and was running his mouth but was swiftly dealt with. Scarlett came out in person and Kross on the video screen telling Lee to give him a title shot or more people he cares about will suffer. Keith told him to name the time and place, and he will whoop that ass. Of course, after seeing the end of Smackdown, maybe Keith should really pay attention to that threat, and more on that later. Imperium defeated Everrise, which made me like them more, and then Undisputed Era came out, all 4 members for the first time in months, and they kicked Eichner and Bartel's asses, and they remembered who the hell they are, at least for now, because Adam Cole had a little Pat McAfee show interview in which he blew up on him, which was pretty much a work, and so it's all playing into the storyline, which might lead to some big stuff for Undisputed Era. Whether that's good or bad, we shall see. General Manager William Regal popped up to remind Keith Lee, and especially Karrion Kross, that he won't be bullied into making matches, and that championship opportunities are earned in NXT. Isaiah Swerve Scott defeated Jake Atlas in a cruiserweight match I wouldn't have minded seeing on 205 Live, and Swerve is the only one to ever beat Santos Escobar in WWE, so he better watch out. Dexter Lumis defeated Timothy Thatcher and Finn Balor in the Triple Threat qualifier for the North American Championship ladder match at TakeOver 30 after Lumis put Thatcher to sleep in what Finn Balor had in an ankle lock. It's like a human centipede of submissions. I'm sorry I just put that in your head.
What will you do when your child asks?
What were Saturday morning cartoons?
What were Saturday morning cartoons? What's wrong with you?
Or will you handle it the right way?
Sit down, baby girl. Let me introduce you to my friend Mark McCrae.
Join Dan Klink and I on the Best Saturdays of Our Lives podcast as we take a unique behind-the-scenes look at the history and dynamics of animation with plenty of laughs along the way.
The Best Saturdays of Our Lives podcast is a proud member of the ESO Network.
On AEW Dark, FTR defeated Peter Avalon and Brandon Cutler, who are now known as The Initiative. It's a D&D thing. Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela defeated Michael Nakazawa and Pineapple Pete, and there was so much Turkish oil involved. So much. With all 4 competitors. Abaddon defeated Skylar Moore, looking as awesome as ever. Evil Uno and Stu Grayson of the Dark Order defeated Sean Dean and Will Hobbs. Scorpio Sky defeated Corey Hollis. Penelope Ford defeated Kenzie Page. Wardlow defeated Aaron Solo by knockout. Best Friends defeated Alex Reynolds and Stu Grayson of the Dark Order. Lance Archer defeated Frankie Thomas. Orange Cassidy defeated Serpentico, the real one, because Sammy Guevara defeated Fuego del Sol next. And finally, a match that could easily main event an episode of Dynamite, Santana and Ortiz defeated Private Party and SCU thanks to a low blow and inside cradle. Big Money Matt Hardy is not pleased. And on Dynamite, started with the Best Friends and Jurassic Express defeating the Inner Circle when Sammy Guevara was about to finish Luchasaurus until Matt Hardy's music dropped. Matt came out of nowhere, pushed Sammy off the top rope, and launched him into Luchasaurus' roundhouse kick and the 1-2-3. It's awesome we're picking back up with Matt and Sammy's feud that was going on before Sammy's suspension. Cody defeated Warhorse to retain the TNT Championship, then was ambushed by Alex Reynolds and John Silver of the Dark Order. Their attention turned to Arn Anderson, who was bracing for a fight when Matt Cardona, formerly WWE's Zack Ryder, came out and beat back Reynolds and Silver, looking way more badass than he ever did in WWE. Chris Jericho announced that on August 5th he will have a debate with Orange Cassidy, and August 12th they will have their rematch so he can humiliate him intellectually and physically. Then he asked Santana if his jacket smells like oranges still. Santana said it smells like cat pee. Yikes. FTR signed their contract for AEW, but before that they had Arn Anderson come in and look over all the nooks and crannies, and they even made sure Tag Team Appreciation Night on August 12th was guaranteed. Hangman Page, who is supposed to eventually be their opponent, came in and poured them all shots of cheap whiskey and filled his glass all the way up. Then they toasted, and Hangman soldiered through that whole glass. Kenny Omega and Hangman defeated Stu Grayson and Evil Uno of the Dark Order to retain their tag team titles. Mr. Brody Lee was so incensed by this, he sent Colt Cabana and Anna Jay, seen with the Dark Order for the first time since Abaddon fucked her up, to the back before he got verbally and physically abusive with Grayson and Uno. He was pissed off even more that Hangman found it hilarious that he summoned legions of Dark Order members to pounce on him, Omega, and the Young Bucks who joined them in the ring from the crowd. A brawl ensued until FTR cracked a beer cooler over Brody Lee's head and joined the rest of the Elite in beating back the goons. Then Dr. Britt Baker got on the mic from her Rolls Royce next to commentary to let Big Swole know she can face Baker if she can beat an opponent of the doctor's choosing at a later date. She's not dumb, she's a dentist, and apparently doing the bookings. Hikaru Shida defeated Diamante in a non-title match. Then the details of the Women's Tag Team Cup tournament, the Deadly Draw, were announced. It will take place Mondays at 7 p.m. on AEW's YouTube channel. 16 women will draw a random color, and whoever chooses the same color will be a team. And of course, Nyla Rose picked purple, and her partner is going to be somebody we hadn't seen since 2016 in the WWE. Forget her actual real name, but she was Cameron, part of the Divas / Women's division in the early part of the 2010s. MJF gave his State of the Industry address, blaming Jon Moxley, or Dictator John, for AEW going from being the alternative to making it just like the old guard. He concluded by challenging Dictator John and announcing his candidacy for AEW champion. Speaking of, the main event started with Darby Allin's music dropping, but no Darby. Then Jon Moxley's music dropping with John coming to the ring in his usual fashion. Ricky Starks and Taz cut a backstage promo before Brian Cage and Starks came out to the ring. Then Darby Allin coffin dropped on them from the tunnel entrance. That began a wild no DQ tornado tag team match with garbage cans and chairs until Darby Allin pulled out a skateboard with thumbtacks on it and went to the top rope and jumped while on the skateboard onto Ricky Starks' back and got the pinfall while Starks' back was bleeding like hell. Darby and John had a stare down while commentary announced that Tony Khan has booked Darby and John next week for the AEW World Championship.
Hello. Have you ever wondered how much Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster sold Superman's rights to DC for? Or which popular football star was the Sam Wilson the Falcons' physical appearance based on? You can find all that and more at the History of Comic Books podcast, a podcast dedicated to the creators, events, history, and the companies that made the great comic book medium. Hosted and created by your friendly neighborhood JT Wheatley. Please give it a listen at iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, and all our podcasting platforms. Thank you, and go ahead and enjoy yourself a good comic book.
On the NXT UK Greatest Hits, Mark Andrews defeated Joseph Connors on June 26, 2019 at the Download Festival shows. Isla Dawn defeated Xia Brookside in a show of how the ground game can beat the High Flyer on January 9th, 2019. Then Pete Dunne defeated Noam Dar to retain the WWE United Kingdom Championship on the first episode of NXT UK on October 17th, 2018. If you didn't already know it was the first episode, the fact that there were American NXT apron covers were a telling sign. And before the match, Dar was conducting the NXT universe in a rendition of the Imperial March from Star Wars for some reason. The NXT UK universe are a funny bunch.
Check out what's been going on with the Pop Culture Cosmos Show and the PCC Multiverse.
You know how Disney kind of like puts films on an assembly line, but you know that when you're getting something from Pixar, because it takes so long to craft, that there's a lot of care put into it.
That's the Pop Culture Cosmos Show.
And the PCC Multiverse.
Playing worldwide on radio 7 days a week, your favorite podcast app, and right here on the ESO Network.
On SmackDown, AJ Styles defeated Grand Metalik to retain the Intercontinental Championship, then attacked Lince Dorado and hit him with a Styles Clash to remind the locker room who built this house. Then King Corbin was trying to kiss Shorty G's ass and tempt him in taking up the King's ransom for Matt Riddle. More on that later. Jeff Hardy addressed the WWE Universe a week removed from his bar fight, just grateful to be happy and healthy and even further past his demons. King Corbin interrupted him, sick of all the alleged complaining, and made it all about him, of course. He kept going till Drew Gulak attacked him from behind and got their match started. Halfway through, Matt Riddle came out, and because not only does he have beef with Corbin, but he and Gulak go way back. That opened up Drew to attempt a surprise roll-up, but that failed, and Corbin hit him with an end of days and got the pin. Riddle attacked Corbin right after until Shorty G came out to break it up and spiked Riddle with a German suplex. He's actually on Corbin's side now. Money talks indeed. Big E's beginning as a singles competitor almost began with a loss to The Miz, as it took him some time to adjust to having to do a whole match with no one to tag in. Also, John Morrison kicking him in the face every time the ref's back was turned. But Morrison tried that one too many times when the ref caught him about to do it and threw him out. Miz, being preoccupied with protesting that decision, gave E the opening he needed, and he won with a leg submission that also debuted in his arsenal in his match. Sheamus was backstage saying he was overpowered by Jeff Hardy being in his natural habitat of a bar, and that it's only a matter of time until nature takes his course and Jeff's back on the bottle. Jeff is no longer his problem, but he is the problem of the Smackdown locker room now. Naomi defeated Lacey Evans with a backslide surprise roll-up, which had her incensed, and she had Corey Graves start a hashtag Lacey deserves better. Otis and Mandy Rose were planning their date, and then went to go get ready separately, with Sonya Deville looking on with undoubtedly sinister intentions. Sure enough, while Mandy was putting on her lipstick, Sonya appeared behind her and slammed her head on the table, grabbed a pair of scissors and cut off a few big chunks of her hair, then grabbed the electric razor to finish the job when officials separated them and sent Sonya away. Otis and Tucker were checking on her too, and Kayla Braxton was doing a backstage report, crashed by Miz and Morrison, who were cracking hair puns until Tucker ran them off. So this was quite the main event. Nikki Cross got one more shot at Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and was even a little wiser to her moves, like catching those boss knuckles and throwing them back at Sasha. But Bayley ended up getting the best of her, and she and Sasha got away with all the gold, and were all laughs on the way to backstage. Nikki was sitting in the ring, still very disappointed and upset. Alexa came in to console her, and Nikki shoved her away. This is that heel turn you were expecting when Nikki beats the shit out of her, and all that stuff you saw coming, right? Wrong! So wrong! Nikki just left the ring and went backstage. But that's not all. Alexa was sitting in the ring by herself when the lights went out. The red light came on. The Fiend appeared. At the start of the show during the backstage promos, Bray Wyatt said the Fiend wants what Braun has, the Universal Championship, and no one is safe until he gets it. Obviously, Braun cares for Alexa the most on the roster, so this makes sense. You would think the Fiend would just walk around her and intimidate her a bit, then disappear with that loop laugh, right? Wrong! So wrong! That mother flubber hit Alexa with a mandible claw right in the middle of the ring. Damn! So I guess this means Alexa could go back to who she was before she befriended Nikki as the goddess / the Wicked Witch of the WWE? But I don't know, because Bayley literally is that right now. Maybe what we saw in the swamp fight wasn't just Sister Abigail luring Braun in by using an illusion of Alexa's face. See, I want to be mad at the Fiend for attacking Alexa, but I'm very intrigued where this all will go. Maybe when she was called the Wicked Witch of the WWE, it wasn't just a metaphor, or it won't be a metaphor anymore. Let her in! It's finally on 205 Live. After picking up the win against Jake Atlas earlier this week, Isaiah Swerve Scott teamed up with his new frenemy Tony Nese to take on Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde on his way to getting his hands on Santos Escobar. Unfortunately, Legado del Fantasma did pick up the win due to distraction shenanigans, but we all know that won't stop Swerve from going after Escobar. And that's the 1, 2, 3. Thanks for locking up with me in the Ring of Thunder. Kick butts, not nuts.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping through Amazon.com or the TeePublic Store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.